This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning, and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. We get a quadruple div of Frank Scalish here, not just on our regularly scheduled day 4 as we rapidly approach show number 200, but kind of it's a semi-annual thing now. You didn't make it down last year, but 2 years ago, we're going to be fishing together a lot more, so I figured why not stick around jumping on a couple of regularly scheduled BTLs and chat about all sorts of things that are happening in the wonderful world of professional bass fishing. Frank, thanks for sticking around for another show.
It is my pleasure. I'm looking at this as a learning adventure.
It has been a learning adventure. We've been fishing every single day. If you can't tell, I look absolutely exhausted, which is good for getting in fishing shape. We were talking about that yesterday afternoon as we watched the Chiefs and the Bills game. It's amazing how tired fishing can make you when you're not used to doing it for long chunks at a time.
Oh, 100%. And here's the crazy thing is it's more the weather that beats you down, because we've experienced extreme cold, lots of wind, and that's really what sucks the life out of you when you're not in fishing shape. You know, and there's tricks too. I mean, there's tricks to make yourself less vulnerable to the conditions, especially cold. The one thing is food. Bring food.
Yeah, we've been big on breakfast this week.
100%, because your body will burn the calories you take, which will create body heat, which will then keep you warm when it's 30 degrees in a place that's not supposed to be.
I think I'm putting too many calories on, though. Maybe we need to fish a little bit colder. But no, every day we've been the past few days. Saturday we went to Lucky Lure Tackle. Frank gave a seminar with on and off the water etiquette, which was really cool. Michael, thanks for hooking that up. If you guys are in the OKC area, check out Lucky Lure Tackle. And then every day we have gone to a different small body of water in Oklahoma. I think we're on today will be our 5th different one.
Correct.
And it has been really tough on all the fisheries for all species. We've had to break ice twice now, and the average water temp has been 37 degrees with the average visibility at about 3 inches.
Yeah, that's our visibility.
Yeah. Some of the toughest conditions to catch fish in, but what can you learn when you're out there and it just sucks? Because it sucks, Frank.
Well, aside from patience and a new vocabulary, the thing that so I mentioned earlier that this is a learning experience for me. Okay, so all the fans that watch day 4 know that I'm not a newbie at this point with forward-facing technology, but I'm still learning a lot about it. And so I always like to fish. When I use it to enhance my traditional ways of fishing. So this trip, we really, I would say we purely scope.
Yeah.
We did it the way it was intended.
No, there's no way it was intended.
Okay, so it's
a tool that you can use however it benefits you the most.
So let me rephrase that. So we used it about the way that most of the complainers complain about. And I needed to see it because I needed to understand the behavior of the bass that I'm not chasing. I wanted to see what the bass are doing that I don't normally target. So it was an incredible learning experience for me because I understand a lot of things now. So for the people that think it's such a random deal, I'm going to be the first to tell you that there's nothing random about it. There's a method for the madness, when you're trying to find these fish in open water. There is a method to this. And the coolest thing that I saw was the mood of the fish, because there were places that we were at where they were literally plastered to the bottom.
Yeah.
And then the ones that we found floating were so negative that you could literally almost bump them with the bait and they would have zero response to it or peel away from it.
It's the coldest the water's been in Oklahoma consistently. Now, we've had like the nights where it's dipped down, into zero or something, but it hasn't been.
Well, here. Okay.
Clay, I think I'm sick of people trying to sell me Ford Fit. No one's trying to sell you crap. Like, don't buy it. Don't use it. We're just talking about it.
Right. We're talking about the experiences that we had. It's got nothing to do with whether you should have
and
it
the
or
fish
not
behavior.
And right, exactly. Because as a fisherman, I want to know everything I can about the species I'm going after, because that makes me in turn a better fisherman all the way around. And so, no, it's not. This is not a. I'm not going to go off on this.
No. It's all good. It's Clay. I mean, that's what he did.
I got it.
It's a patented comment.
Yeah, I got it.
Very, very loyal listener, though.
But here, so
Clay.
So
and then he pieced out later, guys. We were just gonna get into like the coolest catch that's ever gonna happen. It already happened in the Toyota series on Rayburn.
Exactly. So real quick before we get into the tournament trail, so just to let you know, when I got here, every body of water we went to was completely iced over.
Yeah,
from end to end,
like half an inch of ice.
Yes, and one day it was 3/4. And so what we're doing is we're literally fishing any open water we could find. Mm-hmm. So the water temperature on an average is about 35 to 37 degrees, because that's when the top layer starts to freeze.
I'm still amazed at how active they were when it was that cold. Like we actively had 5-pounders chase down moving baits in 36 degree water.
100%, because their metabolism slows, but they still have to eat.
Yeah.
And so they take the easiest.
Do they really though?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They will still eat. They don't eat as frequently.
Yeah.
Because I studied all about this biology, because where I live, I fish a lot of cold water. So they have to eat. But they don't have to eat as frequently. So they'll take the largest, easiest meal they can get, mm-hmm. because then then they don't have to eat for another 7 or 8 days.
It was wild. So we caught that one, like it was like a 5.3 on the scales. And I mean, it fought, right?
Yeah.
And swam. As soon as it came out of the water, that fish did not move a fin. For the 45 seconds that it was out of the water. I mean, it literally, like you said, it looked like a mount.
Yeah.
Mouth open, fins out. I mean, I laid it on the front deck and weighed it, and it never moved. Then I laid it back to put the scale away. It never moved. I mean, this was all like 45 seconds. Then release the fish, and it still never moved. No. And then it was sitting in the water in the exact same shape as when you grabbed it.
And it never moved.
And you had to poke it with the rod, and then it finally was like came back to life and swam away. Yeah. I've never seen a fish that literally froze like that.
It was crazy. Now it really didn't freeze solid. It just went motionless is what it did.
Yeah.
Let's rephrase that. We're not freezing them and then throwing them back.
They had to deal with that. There were a bunch of tournaments that went on this past week. You had a BAM 60 trail at Shasta. You had a Toyota series that kicked off at Sam Rayburn, and a Bassmaster Open on Clark Hill. We already have qualifier for the 2026 Bassmaster Classic, which hasn't even been announced yet.
How about that?
I think so. I'm thinking this guy's had to be fishing all of them. But we'll start with the 2025 Toyota on Sam Rayburn, Brody Campbell, 27, 27, and 16 for a 3-day total of 70 pounds. 5 ounces, but they dealt with the exact same thing on Rayburn that we were here, minus the frozen water, but it got down to like 41, 42. And I know just based on what I saw on social media, because we have a Bassmaster Open that's coming up there. So can't talk to anybody about what's going on Sam Rayburn, but there were guys that were crying the blues. Like, boat 70 tomorrow. I've caught 2 fish in 4 days of practice, but then they went out and absolutely cracked them. In fact, to make the top 20, it took 14, 16, 13, 44 pounds, and then 64, 63, 60. There were 4 guys that averaged over 20 pounds a day.
That's a pretty good event, really.
Yeah. So that Brody Camel, he did 27, 27, and then 16. I was reading the article about how he did it. It was pretty interesting. He said he literally just like went to his stuff on the final day. It was gassing. It was like 4-footers busting over the front of the boat. Didn't have a bite after 90 minutes. Was like, I ain't going out this way. Went to a random spot that was just out of the wind and dropped on the mother. He said he caught more fish there. He didn't even know. He doesn't even fish the lake for over a year.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then the coolest catch. So Dakota E-Bear. Like, I think we all have, like, what's your craziest fish catch in a tournament? Like a fish that never should have been in the boat, that when it happened, you said, my God, like, I have no right to have this fish in my hands.
Easy. 5'8" smallmouth when I won Buffalo. Was in, 10 to 12 footers. And I was literally fighting the fish 3 feet over my head in a wave. And I came up the other side of the wave. My line was in midair. The fish was in the other wave. And then my boat slid down the backside of the wave. So I had the fish in a wave, line in the air, line through a wave. I was on the other wave trying to fight the fish.
Yeah.
2 waves in front of me.
Yeah, there's no reason that fish should stay on.
None whatsoever. I told my non-boater, there's no way I'm going to catch up to this fish, because I had to keep giving it line, because we kept going wave to wave. And then I finally got him to where he was on the same wave. My boat was in the trough. He was on the same wave. He was literally eye level with me. And my boat got picked up by the wave behind it. And the smallie jumped and landed right in my boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally just fell on him on the hole in the boat. I just fell on him. And I couldn't believe it. That fish should have never got in the boat. Never.
Did you cash a check with it?
I won.
Oh, you won. That's right. You said that. Sorry, I'm trying to.
No, I didn't get a check.
Giving Clay a bunch of crap over here, and I've said Clay's an OG. Nothing but respect for him.
Yeah, you got to respect the guy.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't want to wake up and hear scope talk at 8:30 in the morning. I get it. You get a little cranky.
Right, unless it's mouth.
I had one in a Toyota at God, it is early in the morning. I had one at what's the Ozark? Not on Table Rock. So I'm throwing a Nico worm in the back corner of docks, and they were on the shade line on the second day. I've already got a good sack, but I had only caught like 11, 12 pounds the first day, right? And I thought I knew I had to have a big sack to make it come back, and I had a big sack. I had like 10, 15 minutes left to fish total. And I pitched that thing in there. You can watch it. It's on the AFCO Bass Boot Camp, the Lake of the
Table Rock.
The Table Rock edition. And I pitched this thing in, and I've got 10-pound test on a spinning rod. And I lift up on it, and he's swimming under the dock. It's one of those long docks that has all the docks with then the braces on the bottom. So this fish takes it in one dock, goes under the other dock, comes out above the brace on the other side of the other dock. So now I've got 2 poles down and a pole across, and the fish is completely gone under it. And then it jumps, and it's a 4.5.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean like that's a big one on Table Rock at that time, right? 2019. So I said, oh my gosh. And my line obviously can't come out. So I've got a horseshoe in my line. I've got the fish that's out by the boat by me jumping, and my line is under the side, right?
Around, yeah.
And it's like 5-6 foot. So I've got my co-angler, and he was this big dude. Dude, it was like awesome. I'd catch one, and he'd be like, I'm going to call you Butter because you're on a roll. And I loved it. And So he ended up grabbing like the back of my shirt, and I put my rod like completely underwater on one side of the dock, back on the other side, grabbed the tip of the rod, brought it up, and somehow got it on the other side. And then the fish got wrapped around. So the fish had come back. Now my boat's up against the dock. The fish gets wrapped around the cross beam that's 6 foot down. So now I've had it rubbing on metal for 30 seconds, probably. It's jumped 2 or 3 times. I know it's the fish, and I'm just like pulling it, and I can feel it going where I can only move it like 6 inches, and it's stuck on the cross beam just out of sight. And all of a sudden I feel it go, and it comes free and floats up to the surface right that, and he puts it in the net. Cashed a check by 2 ounces. I was like the second to last check in that event. You can go watch it on it's like the like I said, 2019. It was I had zero business.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Putting that fish in the boat.
I mean, that happens. And then sometimes you lose them when, you're supposed to lose them.
So Dakota Ebear finished third. He went 16, 26, 20 at 63.15. So he posted this on social media. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's absolutely bonkers. I want to read what he hold on. I want to read what he said about it here. If he So he posted this 12 hours ago. He goes, "This 8-pounder is probably the wildest fish catch in my career. Battling the wind and waves, and somehow was able to crank back-to-back 8s on a 6XD. As soon as I hooked up, I knew it was a giant, but she immediately got me hung in the brush. And somehow, at the same time, the steering on my trolling motor went out when I tried to go get her. Because of an adjustment that I had made prior to takeoff." He's taking care of the sponsor there, making sure. a seasoned pro always puts it back on himself, right? Rookie mistake, and I knew better, is what he said. So at this point, I'm drifting at a high rate the opposite direction and having to free spool the line with this giant fish stuck. He goes, "A failed attempt at using my remote to steer left left me no other option but to try to go get her on the Mercury." God, he's really grown up. He's getting the big motor sponsor in. He's taking all the blame for it. I made sure our life jackets were on and the kill switch was attached. Very social media aware. Doesn't want people trying to say, "Oh, look," you know what I mean? Him making sure he's following the rules because he's got a big fish on. He had to start 100%. The big motor. And finally got headed that way with little hope that she was still on. Very well written. Miraculously, as soon as I got back where she was hung up and got on the opposite side of the brush, she came loose and we were able to get her in the net. All of this was on 10-pound test. Shout out to Owner Hooks for making one heck of a treble hook. Sounds like one heck of a fish story. So here's the video, and you can see the chaos that ensues. He mentioned it's like 4-footers. It's like gassing.
Perfect.
And he gets it, and all of a sudden he just gets this absolute blimp in. I mean, dude had no business landing that fish.
No.
It came out. B, it stayed on. The 10-pound test, the trolling motor,
and the wind throwing
up,
you back. Too. Don't forget about that. You're going the opposite way, smashing that fish heavier into the brush pile.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was absolutely insane. So
hey, when you're meant to get them, you get them.
Yeah, Brody Campbell won that. Dakota Ebear in third. Marshall Hughes fourth. I skipped second because I'm not sure how to pronounce Caden's last name. Caden, M-U-E-C-K. Muick?
I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm terrible with
Muick.
names.
I thought Italians were good with names. Don't you
Only
have all
Italian
sorts of flourishes in the names?
Yeah, but you know.
Molinari. Cole Moore, Mike Hawks, Colby Miller, Chad Mrazek, and Wesley Braxley. An interesting field here. A lot of the guys that didn't fish it, there were 115 that fished it because that open is there. It was during the 30-day off-limits period for the open. How did Todd do? I think Todd snuck in and cashed a check. I think he made like a really nice comeback. Yeah, 14th. He went 14:03, 15:10, and 18:01, 47:14. Now, your veteran tournament angler, Frank, is one of the hallmarks of a quality angler, a guy who can increase his weight each day of the event. Like fishing the opens and watching it seems like the hardest thing to do is not only maintain consistency, but increase your weight each day of the event.
Yeah, I mean that's a good sign. That means you're making the right adjustments. When you're continually adding weight to your limits as every day progresses, you're making the right adjustments to keep it, to keep going forward. But I won't say that a decrease weight has something to do with the angler's abilities, like the guy who won it at 27, and 16. He just clearly was running out of fish, or the wind affected what he was doing by where he was at. So that isn't there, I wouldn't say that that's an indication of not being a good fisherman, but increasing your weight continually through a multiple day tournament is amazing, because usually the weights will fall off every day by a pound or so. It used to be more than that, believe it or not, but now it's about a pound or so. And so like if you wanted to guess what it would take to make the cut, you go to the last place spot, then multiply it by 3 and subtract 3 pounds.
Say that one more time.
Go to the last money spot.
Hold on. Last money spot.
Take the day one weight.
Okay.
Multiply it by 3.
Okay.
Subtract 3 pounds.
Okay.
And that should get you right around the cut mark.
Wait. This is for 3 days or for 2 days?
If it's 2 days, subtract 2 pounds.
Okay. So the last place check was 29th place in this.
Okay.
So he had 14-10 and 12-10.
All right.
So 15 and 13.
Okay. So now, but what I was saying is, if you want to get a gauge before the results come in on the other days.
Oh, so if you just want to do the first day.
You take just the first day.
Okay, so 14. Oh.
Multiply it by 2 because it's 2 days.
I need to know what the weights for the first day.
Right, just the first day weight.
Take the last check place.
Last money place.
So,
if you want
14,
the last money
14
spot.
Pounds.
Multiply by 2.
28 pounds.
Minus 3.
25 pounds.
And what did he have for 2 days?
Hold on. Then we have to go to day 2. Holy cow. That literally was 25th place. That was the final day cut.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
I mean, like dead nuts on the freaking money.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. I mean, back in the day, you would subtract a little bit more weight, but technology and anglers are a lot better today. Yeah. And so you don't lose as much weight.
I've had several sweats. Like there's nothing worse than a freaking sweat where you weigh in early and you're up there and then it's one of those 3-hour weigh-ins where I've had to explain like to Courtney, like we're kind of screwed here, babe. And she'd be like, no, you're still in 19th. And I'm like, doesn't matter. Like I've done we're going to be like between 20th and 25th, and we need to be top 20.
Right. So you could do that with any place. Like if you need to finish in the top 20 after the first day, you take however many days it is, and you do the same formula, and that should give you it's a ballpark. So it could be up or down a pound or 2, but it gets you in the ballpark of where you need to be shooting. So you're like, okay, I need to be in 20th place. This is the first day weights. All right, here's where I got to be to finish this tournament in the top 20. So now you've got a weight gauge that you could shoot for while you're fishing. So you know what you're catching on day 2, what you need to catch on day 2. And then conversely, you'll know what you need to catch on day 3 to make that spot.
I like it. All right, we had a couple other events going on. We're gonna take our first break now. I have some severe FOMO going on. Kevin Rogers is at Pro Bass Adventures down in Mexico.
Oh my gosh.
Like mid-30 sacks on whopper ploppers and top waters, and then like busted a 40 rack on glide baits yesterday.
Oh,
like just haven't been there like a month ago. Like I know like what it's like, and we're here breaking ice in 37-degree water.
So you're moving there?
I don't know if that's a possibility.
It won't be.
No. if they would let me move there, but yeah, no. I'm going back, though. So we're going to take our first break of the show, and we come back more with Frank Scalish as we break down the first, what I would call real week in kind of professional bass fishing with the Open, Toyota, and BAM 60 all taking place this week. And then we'll look ahead, and then we're going to get out of here. We finally have no wind, and temperature is supposed to touch 50. So BTL.
And no ice.
On a Monday, we'll be back right after this. Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's two best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit ProBassAdventures.com or email ProBassAdventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top on Strike King.
Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFTCO. Any fish, any water.
Beatdown is efficient.
Rock solid.
100% American made. This thing is super tough. I mean, this thing is not going anywhere. I've ran the Beatdown double stack from Florida all the way up to New York. And the one thing that I know is when I get to my fishing destination, I never have to worry about issues with my graph mount.
Your options are endless with these mounts, but they're steady, they're solid. These are the most reliable mounts on the market, and you can't go wrong with the Beatdown.
When you're ready to hit the water, Denali Fishing has you covered. Regardless of your skill level, from beginner all the way up to tournament pro, Denali has rods, reels, and tungsten to get the job done. Check them out at denalifishing.com.
All right, welcome back. It is a Monday BTL with Frank Scalish in studio for the last day. Then you have to venture back to the friendly confines of Cleveland, Ohio.
Correctamundo, where it's always cold.
Yeah, where it's always cold. Hopefully, we'll be able to send you home with a few crappie today. Like I said, we've been kind of poking around all the different lakes in Oklahoma, so I think we got one. We got a pretty safe bet. We'll at least put a couple dandies in the boat.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been real and it's been fun, but it hasn't been really fun.
Well, it's been tricky.
I've been very disappointed in the output.
Yeah.
I mean, we've caught fish. Yesterday we didn't, but we also drove a lot of water yesterday.
Sometimes, dude, it's all about the adventure.
Yeah.
And so it's been an adventure.
I mean, sometimes it's also all about catching fish, but that's neither here nor there. Bassmaster Open took place. Clarks Hill mentioned that, the first in Division 1 of the EQs. Very interested there. It's a full field. It's 230 anglers in Division 2. Division 1 had like 156, 158. So I think they still, yeah. So this is where it gets me. So obviously the payout is less, right?
Yeah.
But they still pay like 45 places. So MLF, what I like they do is they pay whatever the percentage of the field is, right? So it's like 1-3, 1 whatever. Bassmaster just pays the top 45 instead. So regardless, so they'll pay the top 45 out of 230. They pay the top 45 out of 153 or 56,
or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely two ways to do it.
Yeah. Looking at some of the names, some interesting. Now, I don't know. I haven't spoken to any of them. Michael Neal top 10'd it, BPT angler. Wesley Strader also fished it. I know that Bassmaster made it. Well, I don't know. I would assume, based on the scheduling, that it was a calculated decision for Bassmaster to have an open series that does not conflict with the BPT. And there were a number of BPT anglers that jumped in that, but not nearly as many as I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's monetary. I mean, some guys just can't add more tournaments to their game plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back in the day, I did the elites and the opens, and it was brutal, to say the least.
Yeah,
and it was a lot of money.
I can hear your tummy is rumbling.
Yeah, dude.
You're used to eating breakfast earlier.
Well, normally, right? Because normally,
I know I got your routine all thrown off.
I know, but normally at this time, I've already eaten. I've already worked out. I'm ready to
go. Chase Clark wins that event, 47-7, kind of a runaway victory, almost a 6.5 pound victory, 35,000 for the win and a spot in the classic, and really off-headed to a good start on the EQs. Sounds like a white rapper in second, Blaine Bunny. I don't know who that is. But 41-1. And it was brutally cold there. That was one of those deals, too, where it was like 18, 20 degrees. Yeah. Lucas Lindsay, Carter Cunningham. Big comeback effort by Laker Howell. Obviously, we see Randy back on the Elite Series with the Legends exemption, looking to become one of the increasing number of father and son duos at the professional fishing level. Ironically, I think Bo Browning is on the Elite Series and Steven is fishing the Opens this year. And now you have Randy that's on the Elite Series and Lakers fishing the Open. So switcheroo right there. I also know that over in that MLF that I talked about, Jackson Rambanis, who is Fred Rambanis' son, had him on the show last year. Really strong start on the first day. I think a top 50 finish for him. So that's cool to see.
Perfect.
Michael Neal with the top 10. I have not talked to him. We need to get Uber Eats on the way. Trailer Rick. That's what Rick said. Better get Frank an Uber Eats order on the way.
Thanks for looking out for me, buddy.
Yeah, here it is. Pretty sure we'll see Neal on the Elites. I don't know what Michael Neal's plans are. I like to get him on the show, but I mean, also at this point, like he's fishing the MLF Bass Pro Tour. The guy's been dominant for the last 4 or 5 years. He's winning 6 figures consistently. I don't know if it's just an opportunity for him to put more money in his pocket, whether he's trying to make the Bassmaster Elite Series. It's definitely not because he's struggling with earnings on the BPT. So right. I think it would have to be more of a classic career move for him if he was to. I mean, we're putting the cart way ahead of the horse here. But it's Michael Neal. Go look at the stats.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, the thing is the thing is if you're familiar on bodies of water and you have the ability to go fish them without interfering with whatever you're fishing normally, why wouldn't you do that? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you could.
Oh, Blaine Bunny is 18 years old from Claremore, Oklahoma. He was born in 2006. It was his very first tournament ever. And he finished in second.
Good job out of him.
I think I just got a new guest for the show.
Good job out of him.
Yeah. That's badass.
Yeah.
Does not look like he's a rapper.
That's so funny.
Anyway, yeah, sorry. But yeah, back to Michael Neal. Oh, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Just you get him on and ask him.
Yeah, I will. You want to take a guess on what he caught most of his fish on?
No, I don't want to lose any other of the audience.
I don't know if it's public or not.
Yeah, probably don't.
It's interesting though.
I have no idea.
There's a couple listeners that might be able to figure it out if they don't. And then the BAM Trail, they actually had a day canceled on Lake Shasta. Familiar name, Aaron Britt was leading that. You know who Aaron Britt is?
No.
Got like neck tattoos, knuckle tattoos, guides and stuff. Super nice guy. Bought me a Subway sandwich in Vegas one time.
I could use one right now.
I know you could. Too bad Aaron Britt isn't here. But he was leading, and then he dropped down. He ended up finishing 5th. They canceled the day because of high wind and fluctuating water, and that ended up taking 34-4. Alex Niapis, Niapas. Help me out here. Napis?
I'm guessing.
Niapis?
Sure.
Niapis?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like a chemical they put in our food.
We're just gonna piss every single person off on the tour. Just make fun of everyone's last name. Randy Pearson, Asher Haynes, and Hayden Lee and Aaron Britt on the top 5 of that. But a really good payout: 13-5, 6-6, 5-4, 4-5, 4-9. I had Kent Brown on last week. He talked about the struggle of the national trails to go out west. I know you struggled with that too when you were fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Yeah.
How much of a commitment it is just to take a boat and a truck and go out to the Delta, go out to Clear Lake, go up to Washington, Oregon, even out to like Havasu. I mean, they've had it kind of on the schedule, and there's actually been like some revolts from the Elite Series guys saying, hell no, we won't go.
Yeah, well, I'll be really honest with you. The first season that I qualified for the Elites, we were going to the Delta, and I didn't go.
Yeah.
Or the second season, my bad, second season.
Yep.
And I refused to go.
Just financially.
Right. Financially, and to my detriment, it was a bad decision on my part because we were one and done back then. We didn't have two seasons,
Mm-hmm.
So we were one and done, and it was a bad decision. It was a really bad business decision because I should have bit the bullet and went, because I got booted out of the Elites and then had to requalify, which was okay because I did requalify. But I never chose not to go to an event after that because it was a really poor business decision.
That's fair. The BPT kicks off. I want to get your thoughts on this. So the Bass Pro Tour kicks off this week on Lake Conroe. They're debuting the one period of forward-facing technology. So the way I understand it from talking with Justin Lucas is you get that they do not know, the anglers do not know who is using it and who is not, but you declare which period you're using your forward-facing technology in, and then the other 2 periods you don't have it, but we as viewers will know, I guess their name's going to come up in a different color, who is using scope or active target 2 or Mega Live 2, whatever
forward brand.
But you can practice with it, but you only get 1 period a day.
Kind of cool. I mean, if we're competing against each other, right?
Yeah.
And we're both going to use it sometime in the event.
I would assume.
And nobody knows who's using it when.
Right. Unless you drive past him.
Well, yeah, clearly. Unless
Which
you drive.
I brought up in a previous show. You know, if I've already, if I'm catching them on the bank, blind fishing, and I hear a boat coming,
And
I'm grabbing a spinning rod and going out and looking down. I want them to think that I'm using it when I'm not. or vice versa.
But the thing that
I mean, think about that strategy.
it's a good strategy
because you know who has weight, right? I think they're still doing it this, so I would know that Frank Scalish has 56 pounds today.
Oh, thank you for that.
And then if I drive past you, and it's 9 a.m. and you're
in the middle
on the bank flipping cypress trees, well, I'm like, okay, well, Frank isn't scoping. If you're out in the middle with your head down when I drive past, I'm going, okay, I need to be out scoping for my peer. You know, I'm not saying that I'm trying to cheat off of it. I'm saying everyone gains information that way.
Right. You get information.
So there's going to be some like red herrings. There's going to be some guys that try to make people think they're doing stuff when they're not.
Okay. So you could practice with it, right? You're allowed to practice with it.
Yes.
Okay. So if you're practicing with it, would you not know the best time of the day to be?
I would assume so.
Out there looking, right?
I mean, that's where the strategy comes in.
Right. So then you plan your pick off of
unless
conditions change.
You know that you could catch them out there and they bite better in the afternoon, but you don't want 3 guys out there beating on that school in the morning. So then by the time you get there, they've already been smoked by 3 guys who opted to use their scope in the first period.
Okay, but here's my thought process. If you've got bass on the bank, chances are the morning bite for those fish is going to be better than the afternoon bite.
I would think so.
And if they're not spread out all over the place, chances are another competitor finds those same fish.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to get to those first, take advantage of it first, and then later go out and do the deal.
Now, what if I had this scenarios with Lucas and he's like, that's why you're screwed up. That's why you're screwed up in the head. He's like, it never crossed his mind. But I'm thinking, well, let's say you use it in the second period and it doesn't play out. Well, now you're totally spun out going into the third. If you're a scoper. But let's say you save it till the third. So now you're not spun out because you're like, I've got this ace in the hole. But now you're scoping too fast in the third because you're trying to make up all this weight while everyone else has it. So you're 40 pounds back outside the cut and it doesn't work out in the first half hour. Now you're speed scoping and you're behind. So now that plays mental tricks with you.
Except that if you have the option to scope, that doesn't mean you have to.
Correct.
So you could play it that way and you can do a little of both. You could be in an area where you're catching them conventionally, knowing that there's also some out behind you.
But you're not going to use your period to scope then like that. You're not going to, I would assume like if you have a period to scope, you're not going to want to spend half of that period not scoping.
But if the conditions change and you said earlier, you're not catching them out there.
I agree. But also, don't you think a lot of these guys will feel obligated that they have to strictly scope, even if it's not the best thing because, hey, it's the only period they get to do it and they don't want to waste it. So you've actually got guys that are less effective because they feel obligated to use it.
No, because if you're fishing fish, you do what the fish are telling you to do.
Yeah.
Not what you feel obligated to do. And so I think that you have the advantage of using forward facing during that period. But if the fish aren't giving it to you, you don't have to stay with it. Now, if they said, well, if you choose the scoping period, that's all you can do for the period, that would bum my head a little bit.
Are you more likely now that you know and understand this to go to majorleaguefishing.com and watch it live this week to see how it plays out, or not really a live watching guy? Is this something that as a fan of the sport, as an old school guy who's made a career not looking at anything in front of the boat, and as a guy who's now incorporating it into his fishing, does this format interest you more?
It interests me in the sense that I would like to see the strategy that guys employ. I would also like to see if they live and die on it and to their detriment, or if they try to go out there during their time to use it and then it's falling apart, if they revert back to the conventional way they were catching them prior. To me, that's a little bit interesting. And the fact that your competitors don't know who's doing it when or what, but that's easy to see when you running down the lake and you see a guy floating in the middle of nowhere. That's pretty easy to determine.
Yeah. Now, are you more likely to tune into the NPFL when it kicks off with 0 live scope? Does that interest you now?
They both interest me, to be honest with you. Both do. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of, if the technology is available and it's not illegal, you should take advantage of every opportunity you can to become a better angler. That's my philosophy, even though I would consider myself old school, because I fished 90% of my life traditional means, 2D sonar, then side imaging, idling around for days, looking for stuff, et cetera, et cetera.
How much professional fishing content online do you consume? We talk about day 4 where we're talking about fishing and stuff, but I'd never have talked to you about like the business side of this. Like, are you a guy who watches it? Does it interest you?
Yeah, content interests me a lot because basically I want to learn as much as I can.
So you watch it to learn, not for entertainment.
Right. I'm only watching stuff to learn. My entertainment is in the learning process when it comes to fishing. So I watch, my content that I watch is for a learning curve. Okay. And I do it with paint too. Like I watch a bunch of automotive painters online and stuff like that because I want to know new tricks, new things. And that's kind of what I do. Like I can't sit, like, I'll be honest with you, I don't watch much tournament play.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. But if I hear something going down that I don't know about, then I start researching the tar out of it because now I want to know something. So that's kind of how I do it.
I like it. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Josh Hunt here saying Drew Gale's still going to top 10 with only one period. Just the little bit that I know Drew, which involves completely waxing him at a bowling game, hanging out with him a couple times and having him on the show. He is going to strategize the hell out of that.
Yeah.
That one period.
And you can.
And then the Elite Series doesn't kick off till February. It'll be very interesting. I fully expect that this class of rookies, along with last year's class of rookies, and then like I think 60% or 50% of the checks will be cashed by anglers who have been on the Elite Series 3 years or less, which is unheard of. I mean, imagine that, like back in the day when you were fishing the top 150s, 06, 07, could you imagine? Now, granted, there were just as many every year. Imagine like when a rookie had a good tournament back then, it was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
So it'll be interesting to see what Bassmaster does with the retirement of Mark Zona, how they fill that, who they have jump in, what happens. But yeah, that's it. I think I got to get Frank some food, guys. His stomach literally is nonstop. It actually sounds painful from over here.
It's not painful.
So
we're going
to do that. We're going to hit the lake today, and we'll be back tomorrow with a brand new day 4 episode. Frank, I can't thank you enough for coming to Oklahoma, taking a week out of your life, helping Mike out at Lucky Lure Tackle on Saturday. Also, little stop by the bass tank there.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
That was cool.
I
had to, you know what? Because clearly I can't drive there from Cleveland just to stop by and say, hey, what's going on? Let me see the place. So we got to go there and, see the operation in full swing and meet everybody. And it was great. It was absolutely great.
Hashtag Feed Frank and hashtag Famished Frank are now trending on Twitter. So,
oh my gosh.
But we're going to hook the cat up. We're going to head to a pond. We're going to get the long rods out, and we're going to dip for some crappie. A lot of interest in that. Like, I'm not going to lie, I've been kind of testing the waters for it. I know there's some guys, it's not their cup of tea. There's a lot of other guys that are very intrigued with it. The cool thing is, as 2025 progresses, there will be additional content on the same channel that if you choose not to watch it, you're not like missing out on anything, right? Like, there's still going to be 3 BTLs a week, 1 day 4 a week. It's just additional content. We're bringing in some really cool people, some experts, taking advantage of kind of the climate of fishing right now. And in my opinion, in the next 2 years, we're going to look back like, dude, it's going to be freaking cool.
It's going to be sweet. It is going to be sweet. I have to admit, the addition of content in different areas is very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I need to get Blaine on the show. Finished second his first event ever, 18 years old, and he's from Oklahoma.
Yeah, you need to.
Dude, that's impressive. I mean, you go out to
very
Clark's
impressive.
Hill, Blueback Lake, a Carolina Lake, different type of setup, brutally cold, changing conditions.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, all right, this has been another edition of Bass Talk Live. Same place, same time tomorrow. We'll talk to everyone then. See ya.